Hi, I'm Jim,
And I'm Kevin,
and we are.
the Signal Brothers. Hey, folks, welcome back to another live episode of the Signal Brothers. Hey, I'm operating a little bit off cue because I'm working off an iPad today. I'm in Oakley, California for this live podcast. Hey, we're excited today because we're going to be interviewing Reggie Bullock. Excited to have him on stage. Before we get started, just keep in mind that when we're doing this podcast, we're live. Never know what's going to come out of the mouth of Jim and I. We don't script this, so it's always exciting to see what comments each of us will make.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, just remember, anything we say here, there are opinions. They're not representative of our employers or our families, so please keep that in mind. Hey, we love to take questions about our subject, and so the subjects we're covering. So if you got a question, hey, put it in the chat. We'd love to answer your questions. When we're talking, we see the questions come in and we answer them just as soon as we can. We're usually pretty responsive answering your questions as long as they're related to the subject. You passionate about something? We'd love to have you on this podcast and interview you just like we're doing for Reggie. And even if you don't want to be on the podcast, if you got an idea for a subject that you'd love us to cover, hey, put it in the chat and let us know. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Reggie to the stage.
Hey,
Reggie,
that
welcome.
was an awesome interview opening. Thank you guys. Happy to be here with the Signal Brothers.
Yep, glad to have you. Glad to have you.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, man. Thanks for taking time to join us. I know you're a super busy guy, so we're really excited to have you on.
Awesome. Happy to be here.
Yep. All right. Well, hey, Reggie, if you wanted to explain yourself a little bit, who you are, what you do, that kind of thing, that'd be great.
Awesome. Yep. So I'm kind of a military brat. Come from a military family. My dad was Air Force. Was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. From there, we did a little bit of time living in Saudi Arabia from the time I was about 2 to 4 years old. Then we moved back to Philly, then to Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, a little town called Maryville, Tennessee. I was able to meet Peyton Manning there when he played for the Bulls. That was pretty awesome. He came to the base. From there, we moved up to Andrews Air Force Base when I was at the turn of the century. I think that was Y2K. So we got here in about 1999. And I've been in the Prince George's County area ever since. Since then, I had the opportunity just to, be in government contracting space, cybersecurity professional. Then, my wife had an opportunity to move overseas. So we went to Rome, Italy, lived in Rome, Italy for 3 years. There, I was able to work with the United Nations World Food Program. We were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize back in 2020. So I'm a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. And then from there, we transitioned to another place. And then, now I'm back here in Virginia. Good old Virginia is for lovers. And that's where I am. So that's a little bit about me. I'm also been a musician the whole time. I started my musical career back in 2005. Sorry. So been doing music for about 20 years now. I would consider, professionally. I've just kind of been immersed in the technology of music from the very beginning. So every change that they've made from, just going from the physical machines to the digital side of things. And then in 2020, I decided to really start to, when COVID hit, just rededicate myself to the business side of music. So I started releasing songs, and originally they were just beats for my artist called Auze. I started that in college in 2010, and from there Auze has grown exponentially. And so from an entrepreneurship perspective, I kind of have taken some different strategies that are not necessarily just traditional route. I wanted to kind of be more, I would say, Walmart as opposed to Louis Vuitton. So I was trying to be the Walmart of music. And recently we just crossed, I have 1,000 songs published, officially published and distributed. And we had on one of my catalogs, 2 weeks ago, we reached 136 million streams, which is pretty awesome.
Wow.
And
Wow, that's
yep.
yeah,
So
that's
now,
amazing, man.
thank you. So it's exciting, and this weekend I just did about 10 songs, and then next year I have some songs pretty much scheduled to come out, pre-scheduled to come out every day, so yeah, I'm here. We're working with all of the new AI technology that's out there. I'm trying it out and putting it out, and just trying to be on the tip end of the spear when it comes to AI and entrepreneurship and music. So thanks for having me.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. So Reggie, so what drove you to get into entrepreneurship? How did you, I mean, did you just wake up one day and decide, hey, this is, I don't want to take the average path of working 9 to 5. What got you into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I was about 12 years old, and my dad, being from Philly, he was an entrepreneur very early on. Very early on. Like, he washed windows and cut grass and, did all of those things. So I kind of grew up in a household, and maybe it's a military thing, but it was like, hey, you're gonna, if you want those shoes, or if you want to go, get you a burger from McDonald's, you're gonna have to earn it and pay for it yourself. So he taught me how to cut grass, how to rake leaves, and I started doing it around the house. And then when I got good, I ended up, starting to do, I guess they call those odd jobs, right, for the neighbors. And then I was cutting grass, for about three or four of the houses on our street. And then when you do a good job, especially cutting grass, people notice because the houses look good. So they always ask the people, hey, who cut your grass? And they was like, oh, it's that kid Reggie from up the street. So
Word of mouth.
it's word of mouth. And then next thing you know, I was washing their cars and doing all those types of things. And so that was my start really in entrepreneurship. But I always just liked the idea of going out and doing something that you can earn your own money, where you don't have to wait for somebody to pay you. So I love the idea of it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Excuse me. So how did you get into the whole AI thing?
Yeah. So with AI, I think it's been a natural kind of progression for me, because like I said, I've been involved in every like technological evolution of music. And I think AI first started with, in my opinion, kind of auto tune. If you remember, like T-Pain came out with all of these songs, and maybe it was Roger and Zapp. Really, we got to give those guys credit for, Computer Love and those songs from early on. And so, as someone who has musical talent, but I am not really a singer, as you guys just saw just a moment ago. So I really, really wanted to sing. And so it kind of, when auto-tune came out, I was really trying to find it, and it was very expensive. And I think that it was like, it almost cost about like $750 at one point for the application itself. And I wasn't able to purchase it, so I kind of got the cheap version that came with one of the softwares I was using. So from there, little tiny plugins, they call them plugins in music, or VST, which is a virtual software instrument. And over time, they got better and better. There's one that came out by Unison called Drum Monkey, and this thing is kind of cool, right? It's it's a little monkey on the screen, and you press a button, and it's like a red button, and it'll come out with a drum beat, to any type of beat. If you wanted a rock and roll beat, a hip hop beat, a house or gospel, you just press that button and it comes out. I thought that was so incredible, because someone who, you know, plays the piano a little bit, sometimes on the business side, I think I always look at speed to market. And so the faster that I could make a song, that meant the more songs that I could make, the more products that I could put into my store. And then from there, when Chat GPT came out, I just early on was just asking it a lot of questions. And so I think that was my questions were centered around, well, how do I, you know, make my music better? How do I make music faster? How do I, you know, just do different things of that nature? And then from there, there were some plugins that came out, that were able to generate songs. And then now they have, you know, plugins that could, the other piece is the music side is one thing. I know that I'll always be able to do that, but the one disadvantage that I had was I always focused on making so much music where I didn't have video content. And in today's world, if you don't have video content for anything really, you're going to be behind on the marketing side, because the video is the true connection to marketing, and to the consumer. And so I found something called, I guess it was Higgsfield AI recently that I've been dabbling with, and I was able to, you know, create from the idea. I used Chat GPT to kind of create the idea, and then from that idea, I kind of put that prompt into Higgsfield AI, and then with Higgsfield AI, you're able to put about 14 realistic photos of yourself into their AI, and then from there they will generate an image of you into any type of format that you want, and then from there they're able to convert the image, the photo, into the video. And so that's how I got into it, and now we're just cranking out products.
Well, it's interesting, Reggie, because you know, I don't know, was it 4 weeks ago we got together, you and I, and we were on the boat, and I said, hey, you know, what kind of music you guys want to listen to? And so he said, hey, I got some music, and so we started playing it, and I thought it was amazing, right? And Clayton asked me, he goes, hey, who do you think's singing that? I said, well, that's Reggie. And you said, no, it's AI, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. I was just so shocked. And before we give you a chance to comment, we just want to play, like, I think this is one of the songs you're getting ready to release, and I'm just going to play a little bit of it for the audience to hear it, right?
All right.
And it's just amazing.
Here we go.
I feel like I've been through it all. I feel like I've been through it all. Been through it all. Been through it all. I feel like I'm expected to fall. Please change me. Please rearrange me. Rearrange me. I know that I'm still me. Same OG, same OG. Elevate to a capital G, capital G. Only G energy.
Amazing, man. I would
you.
never guess that would be AI. So so talk to us about the AI. Talk about Ozay. Talk how you know, how did you create Ozay, and how did that all come about with your music?
Thank you. Yeah. So Ozay came from, you know, really it started in college in 2010. So the brand at this point is 15 years old, which is incredible to look back on, and now just crossing, like I said, 1,000 songs, 136 million streams. It took me 4 years to make $1 from my publishing, from the start of in 2020. So the idea really came in college, and it was just, you know, I think there's something about the power of not giving up on something, right? I think a lot of us have, you know, great ideas, And then over time, life happens to us. But in my case, what I did was every year I would aim to just make at least one song, right? Or one project or one album, and keep the love of that. And so as time progressed, really it's funny, when I had my daughter, so I have two children. I have a 4-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy. And when each of them were born, it kind of just unlocked like this creative passion in me again. And so when my son was born, something hit me like a ton of bricks, and I said to myself, how can I teach someone to chase their dreams? How can I teach my son to chase his dreams if I've given up on mine? So that was something that hit me with my son, and that's where in 2020, during COVID, I said, well, I'm just gonna jump back into it. And so when my daughter was born, I had already been, doing music again for 4 years. And then I was watching Coco Melon, and I'm just we were just, I don't know if you got kids or grandkids, but I mean every day it's just, Coco Melon just playing all day throughout the day. So I got the idea to make my own children's music. And actually, Row Your Boat was one of the songs that did about 84 million streams on its own. And so I have to thank my daughter for that. But music is just, my dad was a DJ coming up. And my family actually have been in the music industry. So in 2005, when I first started my music career, I was working with my uncle who had already had, platinum records, gold records. Unfortunately, he died the next year in 2006, and so it kind of changed a little bit of I think maybe the trajectory that I would have had I been continuously working with him. But I just didn't give up, and I think that now with AI, you know, there's a lot of AI music out there, but I pride myself on being a songwriter. I have a lot of emotions inside of me, a lot of thoughts and things. And so the song that you just played is actually called G Energy. Um, and the G is for God. And so it's really a powerful, a positive song to where, we're only focusing on, G energy that's inside of us. And so it's saying that I feel like I've been through it all, because I have my own struggles, and day to day where I'm just trying to. It's a challenging world that we're living in. There's a lot of controversy, a lot of just anger, violence, and things that kind of trigger a lot of people to be angry and to be sad, or to be this, that, or the other. And so for me, at this point in my life, I'm 36 years old. And I know, just saying I feel like I've been through it all is kind of crazy, because obviously I haven't, right? I have more life left to live, God willing. But, at this point, just the feeling of thinking that you've been through it all, I wanted to express that in a song. And then it's just saying, hey, we're only going to focus on the good. We're only, the G. There's so many good words that the G can stand for. So kind of all of those G words, I tried to like throw them into a song. And so what I do now is really try to focus on a story or a song, and just positivity, and put something into a song that, even though maybe it's coming from AI, maybe it's not, some of the music that I do isn't AI. Some of the stuff that I do is. And I think that over the past year or so, the majority of things does have an AI element. But if you were to go look at my discography, um, you would quickly understand that it couldn't be AI, just because of the timeline, right? Like in 2020, there was no AI out there. In 2022, there was no AI out there, right? So I have, about 56 projects that are, distributed and published. And I think, the majority of them are not AI. But now, in order to compete, I think you have to use it. I think that's the status quo, and that's where the industry is going. So I just want to keep up with the times, and put a good product out there for hopefully gain some fans.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Yep, great. That's awesome. Now, you recently took that to your music videos as well.
Oh yeah, yes sir.
And if you don't mind us embarrassing you, we could put one up real quick.
Oh wow, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm excited about it.
Where's my? I love the lightning effect.
The reality is, there will be days that you don't feel inspired. There will be days when you don't want to go to work. Do work anyway. Tired, sad, or mad.
Work anyway.
It's not easy. I just have to hang in there. The truth is, it won't be better tomorrow. I'm not gonna lie to myself. There are parts of tomorrow that are gonna suck. Sadness, anger.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's some great effects.
Thank you.
Don't feel like going to work, go to work anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I was having a hard day that day. And actually I wrote, if you look on the Facebook, I actually wrote the song in the comment sections. So I put out, each comment, was just a thought. And the way that you write a songwriting is line by line. And some of the lines repeat themselves. In it's mathematical. So music is made of mostly, beats and bars and measures. And so you have about 4 beats per bar, not to get too technical here. But what I did was I just took thoughts that, I was feeling in the real time. And I said, well, I want to write this song, but I also want to, share my thoughts with my community, with the world. And so at the time, it just is like being away from my children. Like my children live, in another country. My wife lives in another country. And some days, are just really, really hard for me. Like some days I don't want to get out of bed. Honestly, when I wake up in the morning, my kids aren't waking me up. I don't get the, I don't get to give my wife a kiss before she goes to work. I don't get to make breakfast for the kids or make my wife coffee. And that honestly, it hurts me. It hurts me a lot.
Yeah.
And most days I'm okay, but that day was just like, I felt like, I felt like I was just breaking down. And then when I get into those modes, like I said, I've lost people, and I deal with grief. And then once I start getting into those thoughts, some anger comes in. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes I get angry. And then when there's things that I can't do about the anger, the anger just kind of just sit with it, and it kind of bottles up. So to take it back to the story, what I'm working on is actually another book, but it's going to be my first fictional book. And so I thought, with Auze being my musical artist, I was like, what would be an infinite storyline if, somehow the lightning comes from Auze, coming from the bloodline of Zeus. So I was like, if, Auze can inherit these lightning powers somehow, it can, just be a positive thing and a positive image. So that's where the lightning comes from. Is I'm working on the character development of the story to have, because I think once you get into Greek mythology, like you can tap into so many different characters and so many different storylines, and even maybe build new characters and new artists that are able to express things. And so with the video, now they call these things visualizers. So that one is a visualizer where it's not a full video, but it's a loop essentially. And so, with the breakdown, I just wanted to show, the heart was breaking. It was like this neon heart in the sky, and it's like kind of symbolized like my heart breaking. But once the heart breaks into pieces and that hits the ground, then my true power of the lightning power from Zeus kind of strengthens me, and it's able to kind of, I'm able to, the lightning is like the music just kind of shedding out into the universe. So yeah,
Cool.
thanks for playing that.
That's pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
you briefly covered it, right? But you talked about writing books, using AI, and so my question for you is, right, you don't just say, hey, write me a book of 500 pages. Can you tell us? I mean, and I think if you're not mistaken, you just published your first book, didn't you?
Hey,
I
we
did.
didn't even have- Ooh.
Thank you. There we go, from rock bottom to six figures, by Reggie Bullock. This is actually technically my second book. But I wanted to make this my first book. The first book was originally called From 0.0 GPA to Six Figures. I wrote that one completely without AI, but I probably should have wrote it with AI just because all of the grammatical errors and everything. Thanks for showing this. But this one describes a story. I have a pretty unique story coming from college. Prince George's County Public School education. I went to college, and honestly, I almost got kicked out of college twice. Grades related. Had a 0.0 GPA twice, and looking back, going through therapy, my parents were going through a divorce. We had foreclosed on the house. We had a lot of struggles outside of my education and going to school that just mentally I was unable to focus. At least that's my excuse, right? So I mean, you got to go to class. I wasn't going to class, so
You don't want to go to work anyway.
yeah, I just was a
great.
little immature and young, and so what I wanted to do was put that into a book. And with the AI this time, I used it to clean up my ideas. And so the first thing I think about AI, artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to books, is you have to write out the initial idea. Just open up a Word document, start from the beginning, and just write as much as you can, maybe just. And so I kind of, this time around, I went to the AI and said, hey, this is who I am, this is where I'm from, kind of just the things that I talked about on here, being born in Philly, the whole move and got me back to Andrews Air Force Base. Then I went to school, and then went through a little bit of the career thing. Some of the a lot of it is being in the technology field. I don't want to get too controversial on college education versus certifications and things like that, but there are different routes just in the real world that people have taken. And so I just kind of wanted to share some resources and things like that. But I can talk a little bit about how to create an AI book, and I actually have worked on not necessarily an AI book, but a book utilizing AI as a tool. And I think that's what we really should be viewing it in a way, is just looking at AI as a tool, as if you were to use Microsoft Word as a tool to write, right? The big thing is you can't, I guess it's the elephant, right? Like eating the elephant one bite at a time. First you put that initial page out, idea out there, and you kind of train it and educate it on who you are. Talk to it about your style, how you want them to write it. Do you want them to be a little funny, a little witty, but really detailed and kind of emotional storytelling, things of that nature? And then from there you say, all right, now give me an outline of this book. I want to write 10 chapters. And then it gives you an outline of the names of those 10 chapters. And then from there, you take that, you would drop that into your Word document that you have up on your screen next to it. And then you go chapter by chapter and you say, okay, now give me an outline of the chapter. And so you do that 10 times, and then you bring that over. And then here's where you really get to writing. You say, okay, now write this page by page. And so you literally go in and you kind of give it a start stop prompt, which I like to do. And I'm like, all right, start, write page 1 through 2. Because what happens is in AI, if you try to get it to write 194 pages, it's going to be all over the place. It's not going to be a continuous, seamless story of thought. It's going to just be the AI's book instead of Kevin's book or Jim's book or Reggie's book. It's kind of going to take your idea and just go all off the rails with it. It's not going to be how you want it to be. So I recommend actually writing it page by page, and from there you get full creative control, because at that point you're able to remove the things that you don't like, add the things that you do like. You remember those books back in the day where you get to say, hey, go, you get to kind of choose the outcome, and it's a different outcome. That's kind of how I view, writing the book. If you do it that way, I don't think you can go wrong. I'm actually helping a friend of mine work on her book. We actually just finished it, and we're just working on the cover now. So that's a new kind of entrepreneurial thing that I'm looking to do, is help other people write their books, because I think human stories matter, and just being able to tells people stories, or the stories that they want to tell, put them onto a book. Actually published it through Amazon KDP, so now you can publish your own book, and get a $20 royalty, per book if you want. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
So let me ask you this one question, Reggie, because and I'm asking because I want you to educate people, right? This is not to put you on the defense, so please don't take this wrong, right? There's a lot of people that would look and say, hey, if you're using AI to help you make your music and write your books and your videos, right? Is it really music? Is it really a book? And so I'm on board with what you're doing, but communicate to the folks out there why this is the future.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a natural, thought, and a natural reaction to AI, and also to just, I look at historically the evolution of innovation, right? We talked a little earlier about autotune with T-Pain. I'm telling you, when autotune came out in the music industry, people were furious, angry even.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Angry. And I think Jay-Z is actually one of my favorite rappers. He put out a song called The Death of Autotune. And if you look back today, all music from 2025 all the way back to, I think it came out in 2006 maybe. So we're looking at close to 20 years. Most music that has been created since then has used autotune, even the AI. And so I think now what we're seeing, I have a different perspective as a musician, and I played the saxophone, I played traditional instruments, and I think it's one of those things where if you ever played sports or music or anything, and you came across someone who was just better than you, like I played the saxophone and I or the piano, and then I would go to a new school or a new place, and there would be a saxophone player there that was just 10 times better than me, and I was pretty good. Like I got a scholarship and everything. I was pretty good. And so I think AI is just that better musician. Personally, I think it's just better. Also and this is not defensive, but I do want to just talk about the point of innovation. There was a point where in America, people were taking horses and buggies and riding around everywhere. And they were like, an automobile came around, and they was like, I'm never going to get in no automobile. You crazy? I'm going to take my horse, and it's going to take me 3 months to get to New York, but I'm going, right? So now it's like you got cars, and cars are doing the same thing. It's there. It's everywhere, I think. And it's just kind of spilled over into the music industry. So for me, I want to be around, and I want to be relevant, within the next 10, 20 years of music. I've already been doing this for music for 20 years at this point. And so like I said, at every inflection point technologically, I've always leaned towards the new technology throughout my music career. So I think for me to do it is just it's a natural step. It's not but and then also to the people who don't like it, I think that there will be a niche for musical genres that are truly still 100% human. I don't think that will ever go away. I think, there is something about, an acoustic instrument, a good voice, someone who could just really sing, and someone who could just really play anything. I think that there will always be a need for it. So I don't think it's a situation where everyone has to do it. But I think for individuals who, I think the biz yeah, so something just happened with Congress, and a law that just came out for my publishing company. So the other strategy that I was focusing on was I was cranking out like hundreds of songs and getting them published and distributed, because I knew that they would eventually be making they would be regulating it and making a law or something that would focus on AI, and it could have hurt it or it could have helped it. But AI just got a big win from Congress for all publishing, and so now they publish some type of law where it focuses on human creativity. So it allows for AI, and so now publishing companies are allowing for the first time AI compositions to be included in the publishing. So, but for me, I already have probably like 600 or 700 songs that have been published and grandfathered in under the previous law that didn't exist. So I have full royalties coming to me for those songs. Don't want to say that too loud because they might come for me, but so I think that, on the business side of things, and I don't think that's the last thing that will happen, but I think, to your point, it says a lot about where the country is going and the world is going if they're making laws that allow people the creative ability to not only to create those songs, but to publish them and to distribute them. So that's where the rubber meets the road. You can make any song you want, but the difference between me and a lot of artists is that you can go to Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, and you can find my stuff in the official stores, all of it, a lot of it. But, a lot of musicians and artists, they just never publish their work. And, and it's, for me, it's the business of it, right? You can't make any money if it's not in a store for people to purchase or listen to. So I guess that's a long answer.
The one other thing I'd like to elaborate on, just kind of came to me, is you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'm kind of thinking of AI making music, literature, that kind of thing, the same way as, let's take sports. I like boxing.
Me too.
You get a boxer and he dopes up before a fight. Did he win that fight? Without that dope, would he have won the fight? If you had a mediocre singer who never would have made it, she never would have done any good, and then you auto-tune, you AI it, and then her voice just sounds angelic, and she makes a ton of money. She makes, I mean, to me, that's kind of in the same, there's a give and take there. I see what you're saying, but that kind of makes me question that as well, which is what you referred to earlier about the big arguments about auto-tune. I remember that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we were falling when you think about that kind of thing. because the sports industry regulates and they check and everything, and they make sure you're not doping before a fight, doping before a game, that kind of thing. So, I mean,
But Ryan Garcia maybe still would have won against Devin Haney. And I think that they're saying that there were trace amounts, although in my music there is not trace amounts of AI. There is AI there. But you know, I agree with you. I think you know, I don't want to, I like boxing, so I don't want to get too much. I don't want to talk about the boxers too much, but a lot of professional boxers say that, I mean, steroids, doping, as you call it, are prevalent in the sport. That's why they have a lot of testing and things of that nature. And yeah, it is. It puts your voice on. I get the point. It's putting you on steroids, absolutely. And you know, but they can put trash on steroids too. and it's gonna come out. It's just gonna be like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, this is, I mean, it sounds good, but what are you saying? You know what I mean? Like, you know,
I like your reference. I like your reference of it being a tool. It's not a replacement. It's a tool. It's an assistant. It's something to use like your microphone or like your pedal stand or anything like that. It's not meant to replace us. It's meant to assist us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Reggie, you know, you've been doing this for a while. And if somebody watching this podcast, right, because we get a lot of people that watch after as well, right, and they wanted to get a hold of you for assistance in developing music or a video or a book using AI, how do people get in touch with you, Reggie?
Yeah, probably Facebook is probably the best way. I would say just send me a message on Facebook. I'll try to answer. And you know, that I think that's the best way. Or just if you go to any of the channels, I think my YouTube channel has my email address on there. Most of the places I have either have a messaging function, like or it will have my email address up there, if you find it that way. Don't want to put it out there on this platform, but I would say just I'm on pretty much most of the social medias, and I check it, you know, at least weekly, and then from there, or if there are any, you know, special guests that are listeners of the Signal Brothers, you know, reach out to the Signal Brothers, and if, you know, I think that will be like people who really listen to this and are serious about it. You know, you can reach out to me and let me know that one of your people are doing it, and I will definitely pay attention and work with them. You know, for sure. Because I mean, for me, you know, I'm kind of a serious guy. You know, I play around a lot, but when it comes to this stuff, you know, we have so many projects right now that we're trying to really knock out. And you know, my goal is to make money while I'm sleeping. And really the only way that you can do that is if you plan and schedule things, and you create the work now and schedule it out all the way to the end of 2027 or 2028, right? I think that's how we do it. So if someone wants to be a part of that, man, we could use all the help we can get.
That's great. And so, you know, I'm a big Spotify guy, and I've listened to a lot of your music on Spotify, Reggie. But what are the platforms, you know, if people want to listen to your music, you know, aside from Spotify, where they can find your music?
Well, so that's the beautiful thing about music distribution, is actually my music goes to over 200 stores. I don't know all of the stores, but it goes to 200 stores. Interestingly, I was in Dubai with the family last year. I was with my son, and you know, we were just hanging out, and then this person came up to me and was like, "Can we take a picture of you?" I was like, "Oh, okay." That's the first time that ever happened. And they was like, "Where's your music?" And it was a store called. It was like, "Is it on Deezer?" And I was like, "It should be." And they went and they searched it, and they found it, and it was on Deezer, which is a platform I think that they use, you know, somewhere in Europe. So, but to answer your question, if you asked Alexa to play, one of my songs, she should be able to find it. I think sometimes the voice platforms have a challenge pronouncing my name at this point, but we are on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, YouTube, Tidal, pretty much in about 200 more places. And so that's an awesome, interesting point. So there's another clause that you click when you submit your music, and the clause says to distribute your music to all stores and all future stores that have not been created. So when in 2011, I under a different brand, I created another album, which is doing pretty successful. But at that point, Spotify didn't exist, and neither did Apple Music. It was only iTunes. So once those stores were created or apps were created, it automatically enrolled my music into it. So one of the things that I'm banking on when it comes to this music is that 10 years from now, music is forever. It's it's almost like real estate, except it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to change a furnace or anything. Once it's out there, it's out there. And so I'm hoping that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, there will be a new version of Spotify that will just amplify the music and actually make a lot of money and things like that. So but yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Definitely does. Reggie, I thank you for joining us, and we definitely want you to continue to be part of this last part of our podcast. As you know, we decide we're going to cover some headline news that's happened since our last podcast, and we'd love to get your take on some of this as well as we talk about them. So Jim, I'm going to turn the first one over to you.
National Guard shooting. Yeah, we had two National Guard soldiers shot. One of them didn't make it. The female, she was 20 years old.
Yeah,
she did not survive. She did not survive the impact. The gentleman, staff sergeant, I believe, he was 24. He's still hanging in there. But this guy, he was apparently Afghani. He came in under one of the programs during the Biden administration. I can't remember the name of it now. After the Afghan withdrawal. And so that's been a big fuss about, him being an immigrant, of course. And he just from what I read, he just started opening fire on these troops.
Man, first of all, just my condolences to the family, and my heart is definitely going out to the family of the young man who's still fighting for their life. I understand firsthand what it does to family members from gun violence, and man, it's an emotional topic. I think one person dead is too many in my book. My opinion, I personally just want to let you guys know I don't watch the news, and just for reasons, like I said, my family being overseas, there were times where I saw something that I didn't even get a chance to talk to them about yet, and it just kind of threw me off. So, but this is just, I think from the Afghani perspective, ultimately, I think it comes from a visa overstay, someone who overstays their visa at a point when they, I think people should just follow the rules, right? From the violence perspective, I don't know what his impetus was. I don't know why he did it. I do know that, some people are just they call it now self-radicalized, where people are just going down these long tunnels and rabbit holes on, all of these different social media platforms. And then the algorithms are just, I'm not blaming the algorithm or anything, but it's constantly just hitting them with just toxic stuff, man. So The person who did it is just, that individual is a horrible person. And I think that they should suffer the consequences of their actions. I hope that it doesn't inspire copycats or people to do these things, but it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
It's not just that he was an immigrant, it's the fact that they're focusing on that, because we have plenty of shootings, unfortunately, where they're not immigrants. Because this guy is one. That's one of the things they're focusing on, right or wrong. That's part of the conversation now.
So I think some of the interesting aspects on this are this. Number one, he shouldn't have had a gun, right? But he had a gun, right? And so we always talk about gun control, that we need gun control, we need to control guns. Here's a classic point of, you can put gun control in place. It's not going to stop somebody from getting a gun if they want a gun. Number one.
Bad guy.
Number two, right? So the guy was from Afghanistan. I got it. I got the issues that concerning that and relative to that. But here's the reality. The reality is, this guy worked with the CIA. He worked with the military, right? So he wasn't just an unknown entity, right, that entered. And he was granted, he came in under the Biden era. That's true. It was this administration that granted him the asylum status, right? So I'm not knocking that, right? Because I think there was valid reasons to grant him the asylum status. So it goes back to what you said, Jim, and what you said, Reggie, is anybody can be radicalized, right? Anybody can go down a radicalization path. And just because you're from Afghanistan or from, wherever you're from, doesn't, we don't know what caused this guy to go down this hole, right? And I think there's a lot more to figure out about it, right? And
and so the conversation.
So Rick, who's one of our avid listeners, he just responded to let us know. He said, hey, they can't, that the National Guard were not allowed to carry their weapons in a red status, right? Which is with a round loaded. And so they could have returned fire quicker had they been allowed to be out there with a round chambered, right? I would have changed the outcome. I don't know, but I think it's a valid point.
It is a valid point. We're all former service members here. Why would you even walk around with a weapon and not have it ready to go?
Yeah, it comes down to risk. The commander doesn't want the risk of somebody accidentally shooting somebody, right? And let me tell you, I've been downrange in the desert with some people that scared me when they were carrying weapons loaded in the chamber, right? They couldn't even clear their weapon properly. They would shoot the barrel. You know what I'm talking about? That.
You ever march with a group of brand new privates and they have bayonets?
Yeah. So.
That was scary. We did that in Korea once, and these guys had just come in country, gave them real bayonets, the newer kind at the time. It was just you were dodging left and right. Oh my God.
Let's move on to Marjorie Taylor Greene, right, and her resignation from Congress, right?
Yeah, that was
shocking. Pretty shocking.
180.
Yeah, 180. Because she was a staunch supporter of President Trump, and obviously they had a falling out. And wow, all of a sudden now, right, she falls out of favor with Trump, and now she's out.
Yeah, it's like you can't have a disagreement and still stay. I don't understand why she had to take that extreme route.
Like I said, I don't watch the news here, but I know in the previous administration, like there's a lot of people there, like Steve Bannon, and then I think they had what was the girl's name? I don't want to say Condoleezza Rice. Omarosa, I think, was one of the people that kind of, and then they had that that cycle of just different were those people that stand in the front and talk the correspondents, press secretaries,
press secretaries,
yeah. So I think that it's an administration where you're either in or you're out. One day you could be on the inside. That actually I don't know that to say that much, but I would just say that if she doesn't feel like she can serve the American people, and she feels like she needs to move on and move on, and that's how I feel about it.
Well, what I find interesting is, and this, so I like, this is the conversation that Jim and I keep on having about President Trump, right? He's the guy you love to hate. And by that I love a lot of things he does, but I hate a lot of things he does, right? And if the whole reason we started this podcast is because we want to hear opinions of people we don't agree with, right? We want to learn and grow.
Yeah. How do you grow without that?
Yeah. And so, like, if you disagree with President Trump, you're on the outs. And I'm like, man, wake up, guy.
Yeah.
Take that alternate thought process and open up your aperture, right? And so I don't want to live in a world where there's only one answer, and if you don't like the answer, you're on the outs.
Yeah,
I don't
not always
like that
going to
at
be
all.
right. I need to hear the other side to keep my butt in check.
Yeah. I just asked my wife when I.
Yeah, we can all relate.
Well, we can all relate. I may be the captain of the ship, but I darn sure know who the admiral is.
Everybody got a boss.
All right, moving on to the next subject. Jim, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, Ukraine. We were looking good there for a while. We were talking peace. We were talking about coming to peace agreements, and then his chief of staff resigned. It kind of put the skids on everything.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with this scandal, right? The scandal is growing, and it's getting closer and closer to
corruption
Zelensky.
probe and all that.
Yeah, it looks like there was real good groundwork done on on a truce, on a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. But here's the issue I have, right? Is if you give up land, and I listen, in order to get a ceasefire, I just think we're going to have to give, Ukraine's going to have to cede territory to Russia to get it to end. Here's the problem. Russia was clearly the aggressor. They were clearly the aggressor in this. And if you cede land and territory to Russia, what's going to stop them from doing it again?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they used to own you back when they were they want it back.
Yeah. So
yeah, Ukraine is one of those. I was, like I said, I mentioned, worked with the United Nations at the time. We were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. I was stationed in Rome with them. And when the Ukraine conflict kicked off, I actually was on, signed up to be deployed for the United Nations. I didn't end up going, but I supported standing up a lot of the ground team there from on the digital side, working with what we do. So there, as well as like the West Bank and Gaza for the humanitarian corridor, just some of the dashboards that have food and trucks and people going in and out there. So on the humanitarian aspect of it, ultimately, I have a different perspective. I agree with you 100%. If you succeed land to Russia, then what's to stop them from that's a win for them. And I also think that the Ukrainian people are just not. I mean, there's a pride there with them, like a pride of country. I don't know if you call it a brotherhood, but sisterhood, what the word is for all of that together. But camaraderie. I mean, they are not, and I think the leader of the country, is carrying that weight on him for his people, and I don't believe that he will give in, and especially because of all of the loss that has been taken, all of the small victories that they've had on the battlefield, the combination of those things, I think, for time to go on and then him to just say, all right, now we'll just give in and we'll give you a little piece of Ukraine. I think all of the people that would have died at this point, some of that might be, said to be in vain. But like I said, that's just my opinion. I think it's war is an ugly thing, and I think that people need to really take a look at, from 9/11, that was 2001. They called that the forever war. So the wars that we're going into now, I think people need to dig in a little bit and understand that these things could last another decade. And in all seriousness, I think that this is a conflict that could go on for quite some time. And I think that
it's a David and Goliath thing too. I mean, look at the size of the countries you're talking about and the manpower.
Yeah.
I mean, Russia could just plain wait them out, and they could win by attrition. I mean, there's no real contest there if they were to actually, go hard at it.
And another thing, about this is, there was talk about potentially giving them Tomahawk missiles. I think we should have given them the Tomahawk missiles because that would have caused them to have to negotiate. Right? I talk about Russia to negotiate. I think that it was absolutely critical, and it should have happened because I'll tell you what, when there was missiles that could have hit downtown Moscow and hit key strategic points in Moscow, I think that would have made Moscow a little bit more willing to negotiate.
Yeah. Oh, we get another comment from Rick.
Yep.
Their president is an actual comedian. Maybe an actual politician would have been better.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on. How about Zoran Mandami?
Oh, you mean President Trump's new buddy?
Where's this from? I don't know this guy. You guys,
The mayor of New York, the socialist.
oh, is this the new
New mayor of New York? Yeah,
new mayor? He
and
went up against Cuomo.
he come up. Yeah, he come out to visit Trump. Visit maybe the wrong word, but meet with Trump, and both sides just gave him hell. It's like, well, how could you do that? How could you? He's like, you know what? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? You disagree. You don't but you need to meet your government. You need to meet, and you need the people work out. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're supposed to do. Is meet and figure out what you can do. And the funny thing about it was Donald Trump even said, "Go ahead and tell him I'm a fascist. Go ahead and tell him that's what you're going to say anyway." That's hilarious.
Yeah. New York is a different place, man. I got family in New York. From part of my family is from New York. I was just up there recently. I mean, they will, be like, the mayor didn't do anything, or I mean, they're quick to give the mayor, a piece of his mind. So I think sometimes the mayor is of the people. Especially the people that elected him. And I think that they're, most times you're going to see people, almost double down, especially immediately on the things that got them elected. And I think his opposition to Trump has been one of the things that, propelled him to the public eye in the first place. So I think
absolutely
it benefits him politically to, like I said, continuously double down on his stance as far as opposition to Trump, and just Trump being from New York. I think there's a lot of just gamesmanship there. It's the New York city people, man, are just like it's New York, man. It's New York.
Here's the thing is his win has propelled a lot of other social democrats that are out there running for office, and I if you look, a lot of the Democrats were reluctant to endorse him, right? And now there's a large wave of social democrats that are coming prominent because of this. And I think we definitely next year, Jim, we need to cover, right, how he's doing. We need to take, how we did like the report card on Trump. I think we got to do a report card on Mandami, right, and see how he's doing, right? Because there's a lot of things he wants to do, which is good for the average folk, but it comes down to the bottom line: how you paying for it?
Yeah, I mean, because it is just a city, just local city government, but it is like the largest, most influential city we have.
Absolutely.
So I mean, yeah.
All righty. Last subject, Lane Kiffin. Wow, this is big deal.
LSU, let's go, baby.
This is a big deal. I mean, Lane Kiffin's always been a great quarterback. I mean, he's done some great time in Alabama under Saban, right? He's grown to be his own brand at Ole Miss. I mean, look at Ole Miss was potentially going to be in the playoffs. And then he had to make a decision of whether he's going to go to LSU or not, right? And so my take on this, I don't know why he would want to go to LSU. I can't understand it for the life of me. Not because you wouldn't want to go to LSU, but look how LSU got rid of. Look how LSU got rid of Brian Kelly. It's crazy. It's crazy what's going on. I don't know why you would take a risk. You built your dynasty at Ole Miss, and you were on the upswing. And I really think he could have probably built a national champion team that would take down Ohio State in a minute, but that's a whole nother story, right, Jim?
I mean, but dude, these transfer portals, I heard they got a portal in season now. It's like 2 transfer portals. I first heard about Lane Kiffin moving from Theo Vaughn. I think that guy is hilarious. I love that podcast. But shout out to Theo Vaughn. But anyway, he's friends with Lane Kiffin, and he kind of leaked it a little bit, saying, "Hey, Lane is going to leave Ole Miss and go over to LSU." And I think that he ended up having to talk. It came out to the players, and it got real messy. And Lane said, "Hey, we're going to focus on these games, right? That's it's happening, going on outside." So I think he's a leader of men, and I think that. You kind of have to be, right. And in today's world, I mean, if the players are just moving and leaving and going wherever, I think LSU is, I first started liking LSU because of Leonard Fournette. That dude could run that football. Oh my goodness, man. Hopefully, it's sad for the people that like Ole Miss. I definitely understand it, man. But he's going on. He's going to get him a bag. They're going to pay him a lot of money. With the portal, here's the interesting thing. If Lane Kiffin leaves, right? When it happened when Deion Sanders left from the school he was at to Colorado, Travis Hunter with him, right? They came over in the portal. So the next thing I'll be interested to see is how many of the Lane Kiffin players go over to LSU with him.
Well, it's not only the players, it's the coaches, right? And that's what I'm concerned about, right? I mean, so, he wanted to stay and finish out with Ole Miss, and Ole Miss said, no, if you're going, you're out, right?
Oh, man.
But now, Ole Miss might not make the playoff committee. The playoff committee might decide not to include Ole Miss in the playoffs. And, does that potentially set Lane Kiffin up for a lawsuit from Ole Miss, right? I don't know, right? I just think it's interesting. And I think, hold on, this
LSU
whole thing is not done.
Yeah.
It's all right. Ohio State's going to win it anyway.
I wish I was a football coach, man. That's such a cool job. Oh, man. Could you imagine being a football coach in one of those top schools? Man.
It's not easy, though. They got a tough schedule, and that's not an easy lifestyle to live. It's good if you're great at it, right? But it's a tough life to travel and support.
Yeah.
So
I tried anyway.
So, hey, it's been great. Hey, listen, the Signal Brothers are going to take a break for the holidays, and we're going to come back in January. We don't have a set date for our next podcast, but our next podcast, we're going to have John McConnell. He is one of the narrators for the Military Retirement Podcast. And I've known John for a long time. We've served together. Looking forward to having him on. However, when we do that podcast, we're going to do it at a different time because John is in Italy and he's six hours ahead. And I think if we were to interview him at 1 o'clock in the morning, we're not going to get the best version of John McConnell. So we'll keep our listeners updated on when we're going to do our next podcast. Definitely be on a Sunday, but it'll probably be around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're looking forward to having him on and talking about what he's doing with the Military Retirement Podcast.
That's awesome. Cool. And I'll be starting my little podcast soon because this was so much fun. I think I got to make my own now, man. This was awesome.
Hey, we got to be guests.
Awesome. Shout out to the Signal Brothers.
Yeah, you got to have the Signal Brothers on as a guest.
For sure. For sure.
Well, Jim, I think we ran the gamut.
Yep.
I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover this evening.
We did. Yep, absolutely.
Well, I'm Kevin.
I'm Jim.
And we are
the Signal Brothers.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining.